Hello, miladies of inestimable value. Sometimes the coldest people once cared too damn much. Now they just protect their peace like it's gold. You ever met someone who's so calm, so composed, so unfazed that it almost feels intimidating? That's a Sigma female. And here's the kicker. She wasn't born distant. She became distant. By force, by betrayal, by repetition. Studies show that emotionally intelligent individuals are more likely to distance themselves from drama, noise, and unreliable people. Not because they're heartless, but because they've finally figured out where the emotional leaks are. And Sigma females? Oh, they patch those leaks with silence, boundaries, and unapologetic withdrawal. But here's where it gets deliciously uncomfortable. It's not that she can't let people in, it's that she won't, unless you come with zero chaos, no hidden motives, and a brain that doesn't run on Wi-Fi level attention span. She'll smile, she'll nod, but deep down she's already decided whether you're access granted or exit stage left. And if you've ever wondered why she pushes people away like it's an Olympic sport, buckle up. Because the truth isn't cute, it isn't cuddly, and it definitely isn't cliché. Let's get into the cold, hard truth behind why Sigma females push people away. And trust me, it's not what you think. Ready? Good. Now brace yourself. This isn't a therapy session, it's a reality check. Number 1. They've outgrown emotional babysitting. They've outgrown emotional babysitting, and they're not sorry about it. Sigma females used to be the go-to person for everyone's breakdowns, drama, chaos, and late-night existential crises. They were the emotional shock absorber, always listening, always solving, always showing up even when no one asked how they were doing, and they did it for years. But here's the twist. Somewhere along the way, they realized they were pouring gallons of energy into cracked cups. People weren't growing, they were just leaning. They weren't healing, they were dumping. And the Sigma female? She got tired of being everyone's emotional landfill. She noticed a pattern. People only came around when their life was falling apart. They'd disappear during the calm seasons and show up crying during the storm. It wasn't friendship, it was emotional dependency dressed up as connection. And for someone as perceptive and self-aware as a Sigma, that kind of pattern isn't just exhausting, it's insulting. They saw how people expected them to be therapists, motivational speakers, crisis managers, and life coaches, all rolled into one, while offering absolutely nothing in return. So now, when someone comes knocking with a bucket full of drama, the Sigma doesn't run to help. She pauses, she assesses, and most of the time, she walks away. Not out of coldness, but out of wisdom. Because now she knows that emotional support isn't about rescuing. It's about mutual growth. If someone's not willing to do the work, hold themselves accountable, or grow the hell up, the Sigma's not holding their hand anymore. She's not being pulled down into a hole by someone who has no interest in climbing out. What really throws people off is how unapologetically she enforces this. There's no guilt, no lengthy explanation, no fake empathy, just silence, detachment, maybe even a half smile and a take care. Because she's done with being the unpaid therapist to people who confuse access with entitlement. She doesn't push people away because she's mean. She pushes people away because her emotional energy is no longer available for rent. You want to be close to her? You show up whole, or at least working on it. If not, she's gone, swift, silent, and completely unbothered. And completely. Number 2, they've realized closeness doesn't equal loyalty. Sigma females have learned the hard way that just because someone is always around doesn't mean they're loyal. They've been through enough to know that proximity is often just convenience in disguise. Some of the biggest backstabbers were the ones sitting right next to them, laughing, smiling, pretending to be Team Sigma, while secretly competing, gossiping, or just waiting for the perfect moment to switch sides. So now, closeness doesn't impress them. Time spent together doesn't earn trust. Shared memories don't guarantee loyalty. They've developed a sharp inner radar, and the second someone's loyalty wavers, even slightly, they pull the plug. No drama, no warning, just gone. Because for Sigma females, loyalty isn't a gray area. It's either solid or suspicious. And once that trust gets a crack, they don't try to fix it. They don't negotiate loyalty. They don't lower their standards to keep someone around. They let you walk, or they open the door for you themselves. What confuses most people is how fast it happens. One day you're close, the next, you're out. That's because Sigma females don't need to see a full betrayal to act. A hint is enough. A small lie, a subtle shift in energy, a moment of disloyalty. They don't wait for the explosion. They recognize the spark and walk away before the fire starts. And it's not coldness. It's self-respect. They've simply learned that keeping disloyal people close is like sleeping with snakes and hoping not to get bitten. They're done giving the benefit of the doubt to people who've already proven they're not built for the long haul. From now on, loyalty isn't about words. It's about consistency when no one's watching. And anyone who doesn't bring that energy, access denied. No second chances, no soft landings, just distance. Permanent, effortless, and well-earned. Number 3. They don't trust love that needs constant convincing. Sigma females have zero interest in begging for attention dressed up as love. They don't chase people. They don't do emotional scavenger hunts. And they damn sure don't sit around convincing someone to care. To them, love isn't supposed to feel like a part-time job with constant reminders, checklists, and emotional labor. If someone needs to be nudged, pushed, or guilt-tripped just to be present, the Sigma doesn't interpret that as love. She sees it for what it is: performance, obligation, maybe even manipulation. She's been through enough to know that real connection doesn't need rehearsals. You show up or you don't. You care or you don't. If it's real, it flows. If it's not, it glitches. And Sigma females, they don't fix glitches. They exit the system entirely. Quietly. No scene, no emotional meltdown, no messy confrontation. Just a clean cut, a closed door, and silence that says more than words ever could. They're done with relationships that feel like one-sided auditions. They're not trying to earn love like it's a reward for good behavior. They're not available for emotionally lazy people who only remember them when it's convenient or beneficial. If someone can only show affection after a guilt trip or a reminder, the Sigma clocks it as empty effort. Love, to her, is only real when it shows up unprompted, without begging for crumbs of consistency. What really makes her different is how unemotional she can be about walking away. She doesn't cling to potential. She doesn't stay because of how good things used to be. If she has to constantly remind you of her worth, she'll eventually decide you're not worth the reminder. That's not bitterness. That's standards. And hers are sky high, not because she's difficult, but because she's done confusing inconsistency for love. So if someone's love depends on how much she chases, begs, or convinces, she'll let them keep it. She's not playing a role in anyone's emotional theater. She's already left the building. Curtain closed, quiet, classy, and without a single word of regret. Number 4, they've mastered the art of silent disappointment. Sigma females don't throw tantrums or deliver long emotional speeches when someone lets them down. They just disconnect, quietly, fully, permanently. They've mastered the art of silent disappointment. No fireworks, no confrontation, no second round. They'll sit in front of you, look completely calm, maybe even smile. But mentally they've already packed up and left. That switch in them flips fast. All it takes is one moment where they realize your energy is off, your mindset is shallow, or your presence feels like a drain instead of a spark. And once they reach that realization, there's no fixing it. You're out. They don't need to scream to prove a point. They don't waste energy nagging or debating with someone who clearly doesn't get it. If they have to explain common decency, emotional maturity, or basic intelligence, you've already failed the test. Sigma females hold a standard most people don't even know exists. It's not about perfection, but alignment, intellect, vibe, awareness. If those aren't there, she doesn't fight for it, she walks. This quiet disengagement hits differently because it doesn't come with warning signs. One day she's present, observant, engaging. The next, she's cold, distant, and completely unbothered. Not because she's mad, but because she's done. And when a Sigma female is done, she's done. There's no door to knock on later, no drama to manipulate, no wound to reopen. Her silence is the full story. What throws people off is that they expect some kind of visible reaction. But Sigma females aren't built for theatrics. They don't need to slam doors or raise voices to prove you've been downgraded in their life. Their silence is sharper than any words. It's not passive-aggressive. It's surgical. They quietly remove people the same way you'd uninstall a useless app. No hesitation, no emotional attachment, just, you're no longer useful here. And the truth is, once they disengage, they don't look back. You could beg, cry, explain, but a Sigma doesn't revisit energy she's already deemed incompatible. She doesn't hate you. She just doesn't need you. And in a world obsessed with noise and attention, that kind of quiet exit is the loudest goodbye you'll ever experience. Number 5. People's presence feels like noise. For Sigma females, most people don't feel like company. They feel like clutter. Not everyone brings peace, and by now she knows that too well. The majority show up with emotional noise, half-healed egos, masked intentions, weird energy shifts, and the kind of chaos that doesn't always scream, but lingers. And when you're wired like a Sigma, where peace is your oxygen and silence is your sanctuary, being around that kind of noise feels suffocating, exhausting, pointless. They've learned that just because someone is around doesn't mean they add value. A lot of people are just background static, talking loud, saying nothing, bringing nothing but mental fog. And a Sigma? She's allergic to fog. She doesn't have the patience to decode someone's passive aggression, second-guess double meanings, or sit through energy that's clearly off but politely packaged. Her brain runs deep, her soul runs clean, and her space isn't a dumping ground for people who haven't figured themselves out. What's misunderstood is how she prefers silence, not because she's antisocial, but because she's pro-sanity. Small talk bores her. Fake smiles drain her. People who come around just to be seen or heard without offering any real substance, she ejects them mentally before they even finish their sentence. Her solitude isn't loneliness, it's maintenance, it's detox. It's her way of preserving clarity in a world full of noise pollution disguised as relationships. And she doesn't sugarcoat this. If your presence feels like interference, she won't force a vibe. She won't try to meet you halfway if halfway is chaos. She'll just choose silence. Every time. She'd rather be in a quiet room with her thoughts than in a crowded one full of energy she can't trust. Because in that silence there's no static, no masks, no drama, just calm, real calm. So when people ask why she's distant, closed off, or hard to get close to, the answer is brutally simple. Most people are just too loud. Loud in spirit, loud in dysfunction, loud in energy. And a Sigma female has no desire to decode emotional noise. If your presence doesn't bring peace, it has no place in her world. Period. Number 6. They're not intrigued by people. They analyze them. Sigma females don't meet people with blind curiosity. They meet them like a puzzle to be solved. They're not drawn in by charisma, status, or charm. They observe, dissect, and quietly scan for patterns. While most people are still caught up in the excitement of newness, the Sigma is already 10 steps ahead, analyzing tone, timing, emotional depth, and mental sharpness. And if the data comes back shallow, fake, or chaotic, that's game over. Interest gone, energy cut, no announcement. They don't linger just because it's polite. They don't force chemistry. They don't pretend to be fascinated by people they've already mentally filed under predictable or draining. And here's the brutal part. Most people are predictable to a Sigma. They run on loops. Same stories, same insecurities, same performative confidence. Once the Sigma sees your blueprint, and there's nothing meaningful behind the surface, her interest collapses like a house of cards. She may still nod and smile, but internally she's checked out. She's planning her exit. Or worse, you've become background noise to her inner world. She's not cold, she's just efficient. Her mind doesn't entertain what doesn't grow it. If your vibe is copy-pasted, your values shallow, or your energy inconsistent, she doesn't feel a spark. She feels bored. And boredom for a Sigma is a red flag. She doesn't waste her time where there's no depth. It's not that she thinks she's better than everyone. It's that she refuses to lower her bandwidth for empty interactions. The people who confuse her stillness for shyness miss the point entirely. She's not shy, she's studying, and when she's done studying, she's done being there. No fake follow-ups, no lingering texts, no half-hearted friendships. If you don't bring something solid to the table, intellect, rawness, growth, or presence, she's gone. Silently, without bitterness, because for her, time is sacred. Energy is currency, And if she's figured you out and found nothing but noise, she's not sticking around to clap for your chaos. Number 7. They can feel when someone's presence is costing them peace. Sigma females don't need a dramatic betrayal or a big red flag to walk away. They just need a feeling. Their internal compass is hypersensitive to energy, and the moment someone starts costing them more peace than they bring, the decision is already made. They'll feel it in the tightening of their chest, the shift in the room, the emotional weight that wasn't there before. And once that feeling hits, they don't negotiate it. They don't sit down to talk it out. They eject. It could be a friend who's suddenly draining instead of supportive, a romantic interest who talks more than they listen, a colleague who subtly undermines them. Most people would overthink it or give too many chances, but Sigma females, they trust that subtle discomfort. Because to them, peace isn't a luxury, it's a requirement. The moment their nervous system doesn't feel safe, centered, or calm around you, you're already being phased out. And it's not even personal. They're not angry. They're not trying to punish you. They're protecting their internal ecosystem. Their world is built around balance, self-awareness, and intentional energy. So if someone's presence feels lopsided, where they're always giving more, listening more, understanding more, the Sigma recognizes it's not a connection, it's a transaction. And she doesn't do those. The most haunting part, you'll never see it coming. One day, everything seems fine. Then suddenly she's distant, quiet, gone. No argument, no passive-aggressive post, just silence. And it's because she felt the imbalance before you even noticed it existed. She felt the subtle shift where the room didn't feel light anymore. She caught the micro-expressions, the mismatched energy, the off-key frequency. And instead of confronting it, she chose peace. Quietly, instantly. People often confuse this with ghosting or coldness. It's not. It's clarity. The Sigma female doesn't owe access to anyone. If her peace is disturbed, her energy compromised, or her gut unsettled, she won't explain it. She'll just leave. Not to teach a lesson, not to make a point, but because protecting her peace is more important than proving yours is safe. Number 8. They've outgrown emotional roulette. Sigma females are done with the emotional roller coaster. They've learned that inconsistency is a red flag, not a charm, and they've long since stopped romanticizing the chaos of playing games in relationships. One minute you're hot, next minute you're cold. You're sending mixed signals one day and acting distant the next. That's not excitement. That's emotional manipulation, and Sigma females have zero patience for it. The moment they sense that kind of energy, it's like a switch flips inside them. It's not anger that drives them to exit, but clarity. They've seen this before, and they know it leads nowhere worth going. If you think you're playing coy, keeping them guessing, or making them chase, you've misunderstood completely. They're not interested in being strung along or engaging in your emotional cat and mouse. The Sigma female's tolerance for inconsistency is razor thin. If you've got more mood swings than a weather forecast and can't offer solid communication or commitment, don't be surprised when she silently deletes your number mid-conversation. No warning, no drawn-out conversation. She's already checked out mentally, and the decision is made. You're not worth the energy to even say goodbye to. What makes this even sharper is the fact that Sigma females don't even need closure. The emotional chaos of another person doesn't throw them off balance. It simply doesn't fit with their worldview. Their time is precious and their emotional bandwidth is guarded fiercely. They don't waste it on anything that isn't straightforward, honest, and grounded. Games aren't part of the deal. If you're playing one, you're not part of their world. The silence that follows is the loudest part. It's not a tantrum. It's not them being petty. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly what they want and knows you don't fit that bill. They've moved on, and they've done it in the most graceful way, without a word. Just action. The kind of action where your name isn't even in their phone anymore. Number 9. They're not interested in being anyone's project. Sigma females don't play the role of anyone's project, no matter how much you might think you're saving them, fixing them, or helping them unlock their potential. People love to romanticize the idea of the mysterious Sigma female, imagining that she's some enigma waiting to be cracked open or rescued. But she sees straight through that nonsense. What looks like concern, what you think of as love or care, she knows it's control. dressed up in a cloak of compassion. The truth is, Sigma females are fiercely self-sufficient. They don't need rescuing, and they don't need anyone's validation to thrive. What they bring to the table is already fully formed. What they don't need is someone trying to shape or mold them to fit into their ideal version of who they should be. For a Sigma, the idea that someone else could somehow improve her is not only insulting, it's a direct challenge to her autonomy. She's already complete. She doesn't need someone to see her as a project to be fixed, and anyone who tries quickly becomes irrelevant. It's easy for people to fall into this mindset when dealing with someone who keeps their cards close to the chest. The mystery, the independence, the quiet confidence, it all makes people want to pry, dig, and help. But what they don't realize is that the Sigma is already self-aware enough to know exactly who she is, and she doesn't need anyone trying to shape her into something else. That help you offer, she sees it for what it is, a veiled attempt to control, to get her to play by someone else's rules. And that's the last thing she'll ever tolerate. When a Sigma female senses that someone is trying to fix her, she shuts it down. Not with confrontation, but with a quiet, sharp distance. She won't engage. She won't play along. She'll simply remove herself with no dramatic explanation because she knows her worth, and she knows that being fixed wasn't ever on her list of things she needed. She's not your project, and you're better off respecting that fact if you ever want to be in her world at all. Number 10. They outgrow people at warp speed. Sigma females have an uncanny ability to evolve at a pace that leaves others scrambling to keep up. What fascinates them one month might feel outdated and irrelevant the next. They don't stick around for stagnation. Their minds are in constant motion, always growing, expanding, and shifting. So when someone they once vibed with suddenly feels like they're operating from a completely different era, the Sigma doesn't waste time trying to make it work. Instead, she simply detaches quietly, without any drama or emotional fanfare. For Sigma females, staying in relationships or connections that no longer serve their growth is like holding on to dead weight. They don't have the patience for it, and they certainly don't romanticize the idea of sticking it out for the sake of comfort or familiarity. They've seen firsthand how quickly people can become stuck in their ways, how some minds are just too rigid, too small, or too unwilling to evolve. And when that shift happens, they don't hesitate to move on. The mindset that felt in sync just a month ago now feels prehistoric, like they're standing in the past while everyone else is sprinting ahead. Instead of dragging those connections along and hoping for change, they let go, quietly, decisively. This detachment isn't born from malice or frustration, but from a deep respect for their own growth. Sigma females understand that time is precious and they refuse to waste it clinging to something or someone who no longer aligns with their path. They'd rather walk alone, evolving, than remain tethered to relationships that keep them stagnant. And the beauty of this is that their detachment isn't about cutting people off with anger. It's simply about outgrowing them. They know that some relationships, no matter how good they once were, are only meant to last for a season. When that season ends, they move on. No guilt, no second guessing, just a quiet, effortless evolution into the next chapter. Number 11. They don't want to be understood. They want to be left alone. Sigma females don't seek understanding, and they certainly don't crave the relentless curiosity of others trying to decipher their every move. Most people look at them like a puzzle to be solved, assuming that if they can just crack the code, they'll unlock some deeper hidden version of them. But for the Sigma female, that kind of attention is invasive, not intimate. She doesn't want to be figured out or analyzed. She simply wants her space. It's not about being secretive or mysterious for the sake of it. It's about preserving her autonomy and peace. When someone tries to break her down, pick apart her thoughts, or force her into their narrow understanding of who she is, she feels like they're overstepping. She's not a riddle to be solved, a project to be completed, or a box to be checked. She's a person with complex layers that don't need to be unraveled to be appreciated. The Sigma female doesn't see the desire for deep analysis as a sign of affection. She sees it as an intrusion into her natural state of independence. For her, the most intimate thing you can do is to give her the freedom to exist, without feeling like you're trying to fix or understand her. She's already comfortable in her own skin, and the last thing she wants is someone prying into her thoughts like a detective trying to find a hidden motive. It's a violation of the peace she's worked so hard to cultivate. When you accept her for who she is, without trying to decode her every action, that's when trust and genuine connection happen. Not when you invade her space, but when you respect her need for solitude and mental clarity. In the end, Sigma females are not looking for people to see them as an enigma to be unlocked. They just want to be left alone, to navigate the world in their own quiet way, without being dissected or poked at. And the people who respect this boundary, they're the ones who'll earn a spot in her world. Not the ones trying to break her down, but the ones who simply let her be. In the world of the Sigma female, every decision, every connection, and every interaction is deeply intentional. She doesn't waste time, doesn't bend to social pressures, and certainly doesn't engage in relationships that don't offer substance or growth. Her world is one where loyalty, authenticity, and respect are non-negotiable, and she holds herself to the same standard. For those who try to understand her, decode her, or place her in a box, she remains an enigma not because she's elusive, but because she knows her worth and expects only connections that elevate her, not drain her. She's the silent force, the quiet power that doesn't need to explain her decisions. Her actions speak louder than words. And for those who truly deserve a place in her world, they'll find themselves standing in the presence of something rare. A bond that transcends the ordinary, a connection that feels like both freedom and depth. So, while the Sigma female may push people away, it's not because she doesn't care. It's because she values herself too much to settle for anything less than extraordinary. In the end, her detachment is not rejection. It's simply an act of self-preservation. She's already found her own peace, and anything that disrupts that is quietly left behind. The Sigma female doesn't chase validation or seek approval. She creates her own path and attracts those who are worthy of walking alongside her. Her world is sacred, and those who are fortunate enough to enter it will see that the Sigma female doesn't just exist, she thrives. And for her, thriving alone is far better than dragging anyone along who can't keep up. Because when you're as exceptional as she is, the only thing worth holding on to is something that matches her energy. Something rare, something real, something worthy of the sacred connection she's come to expect. If you've made it this far and found yourself nodding along, then it's clear you're on the same wavelength. If you want more content that dives deep into the extraordinary world of Sigma females and other mind-blowing topics, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Show some love by liking this video, leaving your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And share this with anyone who needs to hear it. Let's keep building this community of independent, like-minded people who aren't afraid to think differently. Your support means the world, so let's keep the conversation going.